तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे वक्रतुण्डाय धीमहि तन्नो दन्तिः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ जयन्ती मंगलकाली भद्रकाली कपालिनी दुर्गा क्षमा शिवधात्री स्वाहा स्वदा नमोस्तुते। ॐ शांति शांति शांति। Sairam Lin, Sairam from Malaysia.
Sairam Sharma, Sairam from New Zealand, and welcome to our beloved listeners, wherever you are, we welcome you in Swami's name. Thank you, Bhagwan, for giving Sharma and I this golden opportunity to reveal some wonderful stories about Swami's robes, which he was known to have given to some devotees during his lifetime, and the miracles that proceeded from these, the ownership of these robes and the sharing of them. I will begin by reliving a scene in the interview room. This was in February 1997. I was with Mata Betty's group, and Swami had been listening to one devotee complain about problems in her center, and on his other, she was on his right, and then another devotee lady was on his left, holding on to his feet and telling Swami, Swami, I love you, I love you, I love you. Swami was listening to both the complaint and he was listening to the I love you, I love you. It was going on simultaneously. And then he suddenly got up and he said, I am giving, I am giving. And he went through the curtain back into the private interview room. We heard things being moved around and things sounded like things falling on the ground. We weren't sure what Swami was doing back there because he was there for a while. And then he came back out holding a robe. The lady who was complaining about her center held out her hands expectantly, thinking she was going to receive the robe. But Swami literally took the robe and threw it like a Frisbee, and it landed in this other lady's lap who was saying, Swami, I love you, I love you. When she received this, of course, she was overjoyed, but she didn't know what to do with it. And afterwards, when we met in Mata Betty's room to relive the interview and write down everything that we remembered, she said to Mata Betty, what do I do with this robe? And Mata Betty said, now you must start a group. And the lady said, but Ma, I live in a very, very remote bay in New Zealand. I'm very far away from most people. I can't think of anybody who would want to come to a side group. And Ma said, don't argue, Edith, just do it. Ma was very, very forthright like this, and she'd point this finger, on her index finger, she had this Shirdi Baba ring, and you just didn't argue with Ma. And so the lady, her name was Edith Palmer, she had been one of Betty's most beloved friends, went back to her very remote home far up the Te Awhitu Peninsula. If anyone knows New Zealand, this is an extremely remote area, and there's hardly anyone living in this little bay where she was living. Strangely enough, after she arrived back in her home, an Indian couple moved into her area. And she thought, oh, I will invite them to come for bhajans. And sure enough, she began a small group, just the three of them, meeting every Thursday for bhajans, prayers, and meditation. And the couple were very, very happy to be part of her group. Not too long after that, it was time for her to move closer to a large bustling town, and she, at the behest of her family, because she was becoming quite elderly and not quite able to get around so much. So she moved to a small but very bustling country town, and there were quite a few Gujarati people living there and South African Indian migrants who were growing beautiful crops of vegetables and other businesses. And pretty soon word got out that this lady was having bhajans, and before you knew it, she had a group of about 30 beautiful Indian people. And pretty soon they were coming out here to where I live, where there's a small Sai temple. They would do road trips and come and have bhajans in the temple. And these people loved her so, so much. And wherever she went, of course, she took the robe with her. And for sure, the power of that robe was what I believe drew all of these people inextricably towards this divine lady and gave the opportunity to sing Swami's glory. In another incident, during an interview, Swami was speaking to a New Zealand couple, and he brought out a robe and he gave it to the husband, and he said, "Give this to your wife. Tell her to put it under her pillow. It will help her mind." And this was duly done. I don't know why Swami would have said that, but the lady certainly did do that. She put the robe under her pillow. I believe she was suffering from a bereavement at the time, but it was so beautiful of Swami to use one of his robes in such a manner as to help heal this lady's mind. Now, I'm coming to a point which I have noticed with Swami's robes, that they have an incredible power to heal. And I can personally tell of one devotee here in New Zealand who received a robe of Swami's, and it begins to form Vibhuti on a section of the robe where, for example, Vibhuti began forming along where the buttons are on the robe. And shortly after that, the lady received a call from an Indian doctor in, I think it was up in Delhi. Another doctor had developed esophagus cancer of the esophagus. And this devotee thought immediately she would send this Vibhuti that had appeared on the robe for this doctor in faraway India. And the Vibhuti was duly sent, and it assisted the doctor very greatly in her recovery. This robe, I have seen it many times. This devotee has taken it to a hospital where Vibhuti has even formed on the glass on top of the box that the robe is being carried in, and the patient can see it happening right before their eyes, dip their finger in the healing Vibhuti. It is an extraordinary thing, and the people who receive this Vibhuti, whether they are suffering from mental disturbance, physical disturbance, or spiritual upset, it certainly helps them recover and move forward on their spiritual path and restores them to good health. Another thing that I have witnessed is that the robe is sometimes taken to bhajans, private bhajans, and while Shiva bhajans are being sung, Vibhuti begins to appear on the robe. I think I have provided Sharma with a photograph of this. So there is so much, again, this is another calling card of Swami's. There is power in every thread of those robes. I know he has given out many over his lifetime. I do not know where they all are. Most of them, I believe, are kept in private homes. Some of them are encased in glass cases, either not available to be touched or seen. But I do know that this devotee in New Zealand allows people to handle the robe. It seems to be self-purifying. It never seems to get dirty. And when I was looking at it the other day, Oms were forming on the fabric of the robe, not too far away from where Swami's heart would be. And I know there must be many more wonderful stories to do with Swami's robes. After all, they clothed his divine frame. They were in touch with his beautiful form, and therefore carry his divine vibrations. This has always reminded me of a story of Jesus where people could just touch the hem of his robe and be cured. And there are many references to this in the New Testament. In fact, I seem to recall one verse was that Had you but had faith and touched the hem of his robe, you would have been cured. Om Shri Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram. तस्मात् कारुण्य भावेन रक्ष रक्ष साईश्वरा. हरि ओम तत्सत् श्री साईश्वरार्पणमस्तु. ओम शांति शांति शांति.